Hey guys, it's Laurie Forster, and I'm just hopping on here a couple seconds early for our Facebook Live with my friend Tanisha, who is the founder of Girl Meets Glass, and she's going to join us straight from Paris. I know, super jelly. I'm sure you are too. I'm here in rainy Eastern Shore of Maryland. It's just starting to clear up a little bit, but chat in the window if you're joining us, where you're Facebooking from, what you're up to. I'm going to give a couple minutes here just for people to join. Again, I'm Laurie Forster, the wine coach. How's my day going? Okay, I pulled my back out trying to get back into the running game. So I have like a salon pause patch on my back right now. Hey, Douglas. I know he's in Chicago. At least I think he is. So thanks for joining us, Douglas. So I'm dealing with a little bit of a back injury. Thankfully, there is wine. And what else is going on? I'm getting ready to go to a fundraiser this evening in Baltimore. And as many of you know, I dropped my daughter off at college a few weeks ago. So we're just getting used to, I don't know, being empty nesters. I have no idea what this is. So we're getting in the groove with it, and just figuring out what I do really to kind of keep myself sane is I keep the door closed to her bedroom and I just pretend she's in there ignoring me. So that's kind of how I'm dealing with it. But we're here to talk to Tanisha. And why I'm so excited is Tanisha is going to be part of a great event I have coming up October 16th called Uncorked. And it is a whole half day, ladies, for us to focus on ourselves, what we want in the coming year, making this our best vintage ever, and making connections. I'm going to give some life lessons. My friend who you've met on a former live, Pilar Steinborn, a celebrity stylist, will give us some closet conversations where she tells us how she created her business. You met a few weeks ago, Pam Long, an amazing photographer out of Ellicott City, who's come back from 2 floods and COVID and made her business even stronger. So it's a half day from 1 to 4. And if you get the VIP ticket, I'm going to ship you 2 bottles of wine, and you're going to join me for a wine tasting at the end of that day. Me and Tanisha, who's coming out here in a second. I'm so excited that right now we have a promotion going called Bring a Friend, because what isn't better with friends, right? And so bring a friend. When you buy a ticket, you'll be able to bring a friend to get the regular ticket and save $100 between the two of you. Or if you want to be VIP and get that wine sent to your homes, join Tanisha and I in Willamette Valley Vineyards for the tasting. You'll save $200 for coming with a friend. So bring a friend, go to uncorked.com, and it's absolutely going to be the best day to focus on what you want in the coming year, because let's face it, like, this pandemic has really been a thing, and we thought it was going to be over, and now we're dealing with it more. And it's expensive for us to fly all around the country. We're going to get together on Zoom, and we're going to make it the best half day so you feel like you're on track for the coming year to be your best vintage. And speaking of a great vintage, I'm going to bring in my friend Tanisha. I'm adding her into the stream, and she is broadcasting from the live streets of Paris. Tanisha, welcome.
Hi, how are you?
I'm great. And I didn't get to mention, of course, you're the founder of Girl Meets Glass, and I'll have you tell a little bit about your wine journey to Paris. But we met during a WSET advanced certification class,
Yeah,
which is kind of brutal. So we had a tasting
kind of
room where
brutal.
we get together and hone our blind tasting skills and kind of commiserate on all the studying that we were
Yeah,
doing. And that's how we got to know each other. But I have to say, I've always been inspired and so impressed that you just picked up and took your wine dream on the road and moved to a foreign country all by
I did.
yourself. I
Yeah.
mean, I think of myself as brave, but you're the brave one. Okay. So tell us a little bit about how you came to be this Paris wine megastar.
So part bravery, part insanity. I mean, it's a little bit of both. But how it came to be is I actually had the privilege of speaking at a wine and tourism conference because I was teaching wine courses when I was living in DC.
Absolutely.
And I met a person there, and we stayed in contact. And they were like, "Hey, I can't teach these classes next semester. Do you think you can come teach the classes for me? Oh, by the way, I'm in Paris." And I was like, "Oh, well, Yes, see you next week.
The right
So
answer.
yeah, the right answer. I mean, because it was just such a good time for that to happen for me because I was wanting to leave DC. Things were kind of like dying down for me in DC, and I wanted a new opportunity. And so when this presented itself, I was like, okay, let's do it. And then I came over for that semester, taught the classes, and I mean, I fell in love. I was like, well, fell in love with the city, not like with a guy. Like I fell in love with the city, and then
Paris
was just
can be
like,
good
all
though.
right, well, right, Paris is the one. And then was like, I have to figure out how to stay here. So I figured it out, and here we are. It'll be 7 years next month.
I can't believe it. I can't believe it.
Same.
And just think of that, I think of that in my own journey, whether it's career or personal life, how one small decision that you
Yeah.
make just changes the whole trajectory. And just having
Yeah.
that confidence to say, not to doubt yourself, to say, yes, yeah, I can do that. Why not me?
I agree with that 100%. And sometimes we think we might be saying yes to too many things, but you never know which yes is going to be the one that propels you into the next season. And
Exactly.
there have been a few yeses for me that I can really pinpoint and say, when I said yes to this took my career in a different direction. Like, of course, the yes to teaching that course in Paris, that took my career in this direction because it got me here. Because I could have very easily said, no, it's just a few months. What will I do after that? That's not anything permanent. But instead, I was
Mhm.
like, I'm not doing anything in the States. I can always come back to America. I can always go
Right.
back to Chicago, where I'm from. I mean, nobody wants to live with their parents as an adult, but if I need to, I'll do it because I was
Right.
able to live in Paris. So
Yeah.
that was a yes that I was like, this makes sense. There was a conference that I went to in 2019. I mean, there's other stuff before that, but more immediately, there was a conference I went to in 2019, and struggled to get there. Took an overnight train, and went there. Was in Italy, and that was another yes that has propelled me in so many different ways, and different things have come from that. So
Mm,
it's really just kind of saying yes, even if you're scared, if you're nervous.
right.
There are times when I go to things now. I mean, my French is much better now because it's been 7 years. But
Right.
in year 2, 3, 4, 5, when my French wasn't there, I would still say yes to things and show up to events and was like, all right, well, we're here. We're going to speak these 5, 7, 10, 15 French words that we know. And, we're
Yeah.
just going to do it. We're just going to try it and see how it goes.
And that's one of the things I love that you're saying, because what I really want for with this event is to be able to give women that are going to join us a community of people to support them. Because I got to
Mhm.
believe, and I know it's true for me, and certainly we were there for each other during that certification class, and we
Yeah,
keep in touch. But none of us can do any of this without a support, like a success team. I think of it as that way. Like you have different people that will go to bat for you, that you can call,
absolutely.
because it's not always good, right, Tanisha? Sometimes you have
Absolutely.
setbacks, and this is a community I want to build with the first event, with future events, and a community of women all over the world. Because you're going to join us and join us for some breakouts. We'll have our Willamette Valley Vineyards wine director, Christine, there from Oregon, and great ladies from all over the country. How do you sustain the business when you have a setback, when you have, I guess, what people call a failure? Because sometimes you say yes to something and it doesn't work out, right? I mean, it's not always perfect.
That is absolutely true. I think one thing, and this is something that's going to be different for other people. With me, with my failures or my setbacks, it's not as easy for me to be like, okay, fine, I just quit. I'm going to go home. That's
Yeah.
not as easy anymore since I've been here for so long. So it's like, okay, I failed at this, but how can I do something else? And what did I learn from this failure so that I can move forward?
Yes.
Even when and another thing, even when I do fail here or feel like I do come short, there is something that I learn from it or some part of it that kind of works or some connection that I make. And that lets me know what direction I'm supposed to go in next.
Oh, I love that. Just kind of, waiting and putting it out into the universe, and then some things will be attracted to you, but that you didn't even expect.
Absolutely. And being
Yeah.
really in tune to what you're doing, what you're about, like having a core set of values within yourself and just knowing, like, okay, this didn't work, but I know in me that this other thing can, or I have learned that this part didn't work, because some stuff, it may not be a complete failure. It may just be you need to tweak something a little bit. You
Yeah.
know, you may just need to turn a little more to the right. When you were just like a 15-degree right, you might need to turn 20 degrees to the right. It might
Right.
just be something small like that. So I
Well,
always say fail faster, like try things instead of, some people
right.
hold things back so long and try to be a perfectionist. I'm like, no, if you put it out there faster, then if you fail, you can figure out how to fix it faster.
I love that. And hey, Jeannie from South Carolina, and Tommy, so good to see you. Of course, Douglas is in Chicago, your hometown.
Oh,
He's
I know Douglas.
watching
Douglas
right now.
Trapasso. Wait, I hope that's the same Douglas.
And I know I had to, and this is one of the things that, we've all had to make changes since the pandemic, and certainly doing a lot, virtual tastings has something that's just radically changed my business, eventually for the better, starting to get back to live, but I can still do virtual, and it's allowed me to
Mhm.
speak to a global audience. And I'm sure you've kind of experienced some of that too. What's the one thing, and I know you're back to doing great live things, and if people want to go to your website, tell everyone how they can check out your services.
They can check out my services on girlmeetsglass.com. I do wine bar tours in Paris, and I do day trips to Champagne.
I love it. I need to go on a day trip to Champagne. I have tasted a lot of champagne, but I have never visited. Even
Oh, you need to come do one of my tours,
yes,
because
absolutely.
we do a big house, and the thing, we do a big house, and then we also do a smaller house. Because I do a big house because people from the States know the bigger houses. You know, Tatange, Moet, Veuve, Nicolas
Right.
Foyat. Like, you know these places. And so, of course, I want you to see somewhere that you know, and champagnes that you can buy at home. And so you can kind of have a connection. But
I love
also,
it.
once you see the bigger house, I want you to experience the smaller house, to see how it is to have the winemaker actually do the tour, to see what it is to actually walk through the vines or put your hands on the actual bottles, and kind of understand how it is for the smaller producers. That gives people a better understanding of the process, and also what really goes into it. You kind of understand the pricing a little better. And
Mhm.
people just like things. I mean, if you're talking to the winemaker, like, who doesn't love that?
I know. When you get that one-on-one, it really makes you feel
Yeah.
more connected. I always like to think that, and I love my big house champagne, that's great. But the smaller the winery, the more the love in the bottle potentially. So
Yes.
that's fun. And I know you do some things virtually that folks can take advantage of while you're going to join us at Uncorked on October 16th.
Yes.
But you have a podcast. What's happening with the podcast?
The podcast is great. We just finished up our summer school season, where we were doing like some fun and kind of cool things that are happening with wine in France. We interviewed someone that's doing wine in a can, someone that ferments their wine with music, another
Ooh.
person in Bordeaux that is doing single varietal Bordeaux, which, that is
Oh,
not a thing. So
yep.
did that, and I'm now working on this semester abroad season, because I was in Italy not that long ago. So the next season is going to be from the Puglia region of Italy, where we talk about some of the grapes, speak to some winemakers, do some food and wine pairings, and that kind of thing. And the podcast is Wine School Dropout.
I
So
love
it's,
that, by the way.
and I called it that because people are like, oh, well, did you drop out of wine school? I'm like, no, I actually have a few certifications. But
Right.
everyone doesn't want to know wine at a certification level. And so I want them to know, like, you can learn wine and have fun with it and know enough to order in a restaurant, in a bar, at a shop, but you don't have to have a certification to do it.
Well, yeah, and I love that point because I remember us having these talks way back, and even more recently when you were on my Wine Down Wednesday virtual tasting. Cheers, Tanisha. That our advanced certificate with the WSET is a pretty intensive program. Yes,
Yes,
you can go on to the diploma. There is the Master Som program that everybody's obsessed with because of that documentary. And now
I'm not.
everybody thinks that if you're introduced as a som, you're a master som. They don't understand, not there are people who've been in the business for 30 years that know so much, but they just don't want to spend all their time on flashcards.
Mhm.
So, it just depends on the right fit for your business and what you're doing. And you're absolutely right. Because Tanisha, you're an expert for sure.
I
And
like to think so.
yeah, I know. I love it. So what's a trendy thing? Just to give everybody a little tip so we can be on the trendy side of things in Paris. What's like a trendy wine drink or thing that everyone's doing that we might not know about in the States?
I'm trying to think of one that you won't know about. Mm, you know about this, but something that's really trendy here that people are really getting into is natural wine. People are
Yes.
really into natural wine here. There are a lot of natural wine bars. There are a lot of cavistes or wine shops that just serve or sell natural wine. So that is something that they're really doing here a
Yeah.
lot.
I love that. It's so funny that we did not plan this, people. My last month's Wine Down Wednesday was natural wines.
Well, what do you know?
You know, those of us in the business are a little more in tune to it, but I think for, you know, the you know, everyday wine drinker, they may not know all the differences. So we kind of went through like what's organic versus biodynamic versus natural. You know,
And
what
it
are
can be
the things?
confusing. It
It
can
is
absolutely be
very
confusing.
confusing. And you can't
Because
look
then
at a
there's also
bottle.
the clean wine.
Yep.
The clean.
Clean crafted.
Yeah.
And you
Yeah.
can't look at a bottle and know. It's
No.
not like there's just one thing we're looking for. It's you have to like dig a little deeper. So I
Yeah.
love that. I know in New York, it's probably in the urban centers here is probably more of a thing than it is, you know, in the sprawl of our country. But absolutely, natural wine people, search it out, figure out what it is. But I'm so thrilled that you joined us. So if people go to
Thank you.
girlmeetsglass.com, they can also access your podcast from there too.
They can, yes. The links are all there. And then also on Instagram and Twitter, it's Girl Meets Glass as well.
Yeah, follow her and follow us to uncorked.com,
Yes,
where
do
it's
that.
all the information about the half day conference and the VIP tasting, which you'll want to join us for because you deserve a glass at the end of a very productive day of inspiration, connection, and all just really setting the path and connecting with other women to set the path for your next vintage. Remember, you can bring a friend and save up to $200 on a VIP ticket. Tanisha, I can't wait to have you with us. I feel like it's just dusk. It looks like in the
Yeah,
background.
it is. It's just starting to get dark. It is a little after 8. So yeah, the lights just came on up there.
Yes, I
So yeah.
see that. Well, Tanisha, thank you so much. Cheers
Thank you for
for
having me.
joining us from Paris. Thank you, everyone
Cheers.
that was watching. Cheers, and we'll see you very soon. Thanks so much.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you.